watching Disney Channel.
It's me, Kanami Chidori, and welcome back to another video on reviewing Miraculous Ladybug Season 5, and in this video we'll be reviewing episode 117, Migration, the horse Miraculous Kaalki. So then, let's
get this party started!
Ah, spoiler alert!
The episode starts off with Marinette rushing to the Kofane houseboat Liberty, where she awkwardly greets all of her friends, and she then rushes off to Luca, stuttering over her words, and then finally says that she needs to talk about the new stickers that she designed for Kitty's section. Luca then smiles at her and creates an excuse to allow him to talk to Marinette in private. Then, while the two are in Luca's room, Marinette starts talking about her problems. She admits that she struggles to find the right words when she's with Adrien, but she also struggles with herself. Marinette pauses for a moment and then covers her face with her hands, stating that she's the worst when she's talking about her love life to Luca when she broke his heart. But Luca then proceeds to look down at his guitar and then kindly reassures Marinette. The conversation ends with him saying, "You know where to find me." While Marinette is leaving the room, she sees Adrien holding a keyboard walking towards her. As they are both about to greet each other, she attempts to walk past him, but ends up being stuck in between Adrien's keyboard and the wall. For a brief moment, the camera changes to Luca's perspective, but Marinette and Adrien quickly fade into the costumes of Ladybug and Cat Noir, reminding the audience that Luca knows the superhero's secret identities. After Adrien tries talking to Marinette, Marinette hurriedly runs away, still feeling unsafe around Adrien. So Adrien then enters the room, stuttering over his words, just to say that he believes his keyboard is faulty. Luca smiles, and then the scene changes to a similar scene from earlier, except this time Adrien is sat opposite Luca in Marinette's place. Adrien starts by thanking Luca. Because of him, he found his inner tune and his love for Marinette, but he is scared that Marinette still couldn't find hers. Luca then reassures Adrien, and the conversation ends with him saying, "You know where to find me." Out of nowhere, the window behind Luca pops open with Jagged Stone behind it. Jagged Stone stutters over his words and then finally states that he has a super important question about, this guitar pick. Luca smiles, and then the scene changes to a similar scene from earlier. Luca is on the bed and his father is sat opposite of him. Jagged Stone then admits that he wants to become a better father, but he has no clue how to. Luca then reassures him, saying that all he needs to do is to spend time with his family. And the conversation ends with Luca saying, "You know where to find me, Dad. Do you even see a pattern where this is going?" Before the scene can move on, a familiar voice starts shouting Jagged's name. Luca's father then proceeds to exit through the window after realizing that Penny was looking for him. Penny then enters the room in a rush, stating that she needs to find Jagged because Bob Ross wants him to be recording for a new album. And Luca then smiles, and the scene changes to the two sitting on the bed facing each other. Penny then admits that she's in love with Luca's father, and she has no clue why. And she then states a long list of childish things about Jagged, and why he's a walking disaster. Luca then reassures her, saying that love is always unexplainable, and that's probably why she's confused. But when Luca is about to say, "You know where to find me," once again, Bob Roth interrupts him and starts shouting and screaming at Penny, bombarding her with questions regarding Jagged's whereabouts. And Penny then admits that she is looking for Jagged, and she expects him to find him with his son. And amazed by the fact that Jagged Stone has a son, Bob Roth walks towards Luca, laughing hysterically at the fact that only a fool would have a kid with that good-for-nothing. Unexpectedly, Anarka appears behind Bob, saying that the fool would be her. Angrily, she stated that Bob had boarded her ship without permission, and the setting suddenly changes to a cartoonish scene where Bob Roth is thrown off the boat into the Seine. whilst wearing a deck floaty. The scene quickly changes, and the band kitty section start rehearsing one of their many songs, but now the focus is drawn towards Luca entering the surface of the boat. The former then proceeds to look at Adrian and Marinette, who are sitting by themselves separate from the group. And like the scene from earlier, Marinette and Adrian slowly fade into the costumes of Ladybug and Cat Noir, once again reminding the audience that Luca knows the identities of Paris' beloved superheroes. And then out of nowhere, Bob Roth appears on the edge of the boat, and he unexpectedly starts clapping at Kitty Section's performance, and then offers the group to sign a contract with him. The group suddenly pauses, but then Lucas speaks up, stating that Bob Roth has already offered them a contract, but he never went through with the deal. Unconceivingly, Bob tries to say that he never forgot about the deal and that he was just waiting for the right time. And before he can finish, Anarcha suddenly comes and throws him off the boat, with the same scene from earlier. And Luca then confronts his mother, kindly saying that she should try to give him a chance at least. Moments later, Bob Roth walks back on board on the ship, agreeing with Luca on how everyone deserves a chance and anyone can change. To prove his point, he admits that he wasn't very honest in the past, and now he has changed his ways and wants to sign a real contract with the group. And then he starts to rant and rave about how this new contract will fill their pockets and protect them no matter what. So out of excitement, the members of the band start happily squealing about how they are to have their first album with the record company. The scene quickly changes to a short montage of each band member happily signing the contracts until Bob Roth interrupts and says, "You're all fired except for Jagged Jr." While putting on a diving suit. In confusion, Lucas stated that he would never work for both without his friends and that he can't force them to do his work. So, with a cheeky smile, Bob replies saying that he obviously can, and that's what the contracts were for. Without a moment to pass, each member of the band stares at their contracts as each of them gasps in unison. Without a care in the world about what is going to happen next, Bob starts to tease and mock the group, and the former says that they should have listened to the old pirate and never should have signed. And he then proceeds to put his swimming goggles over his eyes and then puts his thumbs up, signaling to Anarcha that he's ready to get thrown off the boat. And the cartoonish scene from earlier then appears, proceeded by the group reading over the contract, just realizing what they had just done. And the scene quickly zooms into Luca, who is quickly reading over the contract, and he proceeds to admit that everything is his fault. The scene quickly changes to Monarch's lair, with Monarch evilizing a Megakuma to send Luca. The scene changes to Luca almost getting akumatized via his guitar. To avoid the akumatization, Luca immediately tried to resist, only to destroy his guitar to completely resist. Out of confusion on why he was resisting so strongly, Monarch soon finds out that Luca knows the secret identities of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Determined, he decided to akumatize Bob Roth instead, who was frustrated because Luca refuses to work with him. Now transformed into Gold Record with the power of the horse Miraculous Kaalki, he teleports back onto the ship and attempts to hit Luca with his record, but Rose jumps in the way and was hit instead. Rose, now as a record, begins to sing He Love All of Her Friends, and Gold Record sends Rose's record to space. Gold Record then hits Anarcha with his record, and she turns into a record and starts singing as well. And Luca tells all of his friends to hide below deck, except Marinette, whom he tells to hide in the cabin. Gold Record also sends Anarcha's record to space. Now below deck, Adrian starts worrying about Marinette and whether she's been captured. Luca tells Adrian that he can't help Marinette, but Cat Noir can, heavily implying he knows Cat Noir's identity and proceeds to place Adrian in the closet to hide. Gold Record teleports below deck and attempts once again to hit Luca with his record, but this time, Jolica jumps in the way and thus transformed into a record and starts to sing. All the teens stare in awe as she stings, but Gold Record still sends her to space. The villain almost hits Luca with the record, but he was pulled out of the way by Ladybug. Cat Noir falls out of the closet and Gold Record takes another throw at Luca, but hit a rubber duck toy, which transformed, and Gold Record sends it to his record wall. Gold Record then proceeds to chase Cat Noir around Paris via teleportation and continuously tries to hit him with his record. He hits a pigeon with a record and then continues to pursue Cat Noir. It thus changes scene to Ladybug and Luca under a bridge, and Ladybug uses her lucky charm and asks Luca if he's willing to risk himself and defeat the supervillain. Luca starts to oblige, but also warns Ladybug that if he's caught, he'll reveal everything. And she brushes off his concern, and Luca then proceeds to call Ladybug Marinette, but she fails to notice until he calls her Marinette a second time. And she asks if he knows Cat Noir's identity too, and then realizes the full risk, but moves forward with the plan regardless of his actions. Luca begins playing guitar on the Eiffel Tower, drawing Gold Record's attention. Ladybug messages Cat Noir not to intervene as it's part of the plan. Gold Record teleports behind Luca and finally strikes his initial target, who transforms into a record and begins to sing. Ladybug uses her pencil lucky charm along with a makeshift miniature bow and shoots Gold Record's record out of his hand and directly towards Cat Noir, who then cataclysms the record just before Luca's song reveals their identities. Ladybug purifies the Akuma and uses her miraculous Ladybug, returning to everything to how it was. And it changes back to the ship, where Ladybug attempts to give Bob an anti-Akuma charm, but he rejects it and takes the contract papers for Cat Noir, who recovered them. Bob then proceeds to try to take advantage of Jagged Jr. so that he can make lots of money, and attempts to use Ladybug and Cat Noir to protect him from Anarcha. And the two superheroes leave, and Anarcha throws Bob off the boat once more. The scene shortly shifts to Monarch's lair, where he declares he'll get Luca to reveal the heroes' identities, and then he shifts back to the boat. And it's where Luca rips up the contracts, and he then tells the Kitty Section group that he cannot stay in Paris because he knows Ladybug and Cat Noir's identity. Marinette and Adrian try to reassure him that Ladybug and Cat Noir will keep him safe, but to no avail. He tells the group not to worry about Kitty Section because his sister, Jolica, is so talented. Anarcha tells Luca that he can't leave without an adult. Then Jagged jumps in and says that he will go with Luca. Anarcha doesn't believe Jagged is willing to give up all of his fame for his son. Jagged tells her that he already has and that he tore up his contracts. He asks for a chance to be a real father to his son, and Penny offers to help Luca with his schoolwork. And Anarcha agrees to let Luca leave, thus ending the episode Migration.
Did you know that?
Before we get started on the rest of the trivia, there is something that we should point out about the trivia. Well, Bob Roth says that he'll make Marinette's life hell, and this is one of the few times profanity is used in the show. Lollyrock is the first one to use profanity, with Talia saying, "Hell yeah!" in episode 20. Although parents were very angry on Common Sense Media's website, although in the Spectrum On Demand version, Bob says a living nightmare instead of censoring hell, like the Donkey Kong rap in Super Smash Bros. Melee and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now that that's out of the way, Bob Roth is akumatized into Gold Record and was allowed to use the power of the Horse Miraculous. Luca was almost re-akumatized into Silencer by Monarch, but he resists and rejects it. Monarch discovers Luca knows the identities of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Marinette and Adrian find out that Luca knows their secret identities. At the end of the episode, Luca leaves Paris with Jagged and Penny temporarily to prevent Monarch from finding out about Ladybug and Cat Noir's secret identities. And this episode shares its name with the concept of the Horse Miraculous. Besides the use of its power voyage, there are some characters going on a migration, with the ones being Luca, Jagged, and Penny, who left Paris after Monarch realizes the former knows Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities. How Bob migrated to Luca after he discovered that the young musician was Jagged's son, and it is seen how the power of voyage can be used for attacking. By allowing the user to appear from anywhere, they can fight and attack from anywhere. Then once that's done enough times, the opponent will be completely exhausted. Voyage also has one more weakness before the portal opens, and something or someone can go through, and it gives off a sound that can alert anybody to their allies or enemies' location. And Luca is shown to have become a major confidant to many characters like Marinette, Adrian, Jagged, and Penny, who ask him for his wise advice that are able to calm their hearts and clear any doubt that they're having. And it's revealed that Jagged and Penny are dating, and this confirms that Jagged cheated on Anarcha, which is probably why he left her family and Luca. Luca is the 5th character to not get fully akumatized after being infected by an Akuma, following Chloe in Miraculous, Marinette in Ladybug, Elation in Derision, Sabine in Ladybug, and Felix in Gabriel Agreste. And he is almost akumatized into Silencer, his first akumatized identity. If Monarch had managed to successfully akumatize Luca, it would have been the 2nd time he would have turned into Silencer. And this episode sets yet another consequence from the events of Miracle Queen, as Hawkmoth, or Monarch, knew that Luca was the current Snake Miraculous holder as Viperian, and is also aware of Second Chance as revealed in Party Crasher. So it's possible Monarch guessed that Luca knew Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities from the erased alternative timelines from Wishmaker. Following the events of Centibubbler, this episode is the 2nd time where a team member is put in danger because of Chloe's actions. Ironically, the same thing would have happened to Chloe, as she too would have to leave Paris, along on with the B Miraculous, on the notion that her identity was exposed, or if she made her mind to stay, then someone else would have the power in place. And this is the 2nd time Bob Roth got akumatized, following Ephemeral. And this time he gets akumatized into a new form, Gold Record. He's the 2nd character to have refused the magical charm from Ladybug. The first to do so was Chloe in Queen Banana, and Kagami becoming the 3rd in Protection. When he said again and that the magical charm didn't work, could imply that Bob was akumatized back in Ephemeral and saw for himself that the magical charm didn't work. And not counting episodes which don't have end cards, this is the 3rd episode to have an end card in which Marinette and Adrien don't appear, following The Collector and Male Dictator. These 3, alongside Felix and Multiplication, are the only ones in which Marinette doesn't appear. This is the 4th time Monarch is listening for targets after Risk, Jubilation, and Transmission. This episode bears resemblance to many objects. From Crocodile, the akumatized object was a record disc, but unlike the former episode, this one was comprised of multiple pieces combined into one, and yet both records were destroyed in the same way. Cat Noir's Cataclysm. Then, in Captain Hard Rock, the scene where Luca and Marinette first met is reused. Similar to Silencer, both akumatizations were caused by Bob Roth. Like Chloe and Miracle Queen, Bob Roth teamed with Monarch out of selfish actions that allowed Gabriel to take advantage of the situation, resulting in both Master Fu renouncing his title as guardian and his memories to protect Ladybug, Cat Noir, and the Miraculous, as well as Luca moving out of Paris to keep the duo safe. However, unlike Alex in Evolution, Luca's whole family and friends knew about his departure and shared a hug before he left. Bob also repeated Ladybug's "Here, Kitty, Kitty" line from Reverser. Luca is the 2nd member of the French Miraculous superhero team that had to be sent away to protect the team following Alex in Evolution. Marinette voice having Ladybug and Cat Noir willingly protect Luca is callback to Reunion. And it is revealed that Penny found out that Jagged has 2 children off screen. And this episode refers to the late rock star David Bowie and several famous album covers, such as Nirvana's Nevermind. Rose's song sounds similar to Toto's Rosanna. Gold Record says in space, "No one will hear you sing," which is a reference to the tagline of the film Alien. A similar reference was made by Mr. Pigeon in Miraculous New York and Monarch in Intuition. Luca is the 2nd akumatized victim to break his akumatized object by himself, following Penalty and Penalty. However, he broke his before he was fully transformed, while Penalty did so when she was already akumatized. And this is the only episode where Bob Roth makes an appearance in season 5, as he is like the Gorilla Grodd of Miraculous. Marinette and Adrien find out that Luca knows their secret identities, which he learned in Wishmaker. Similar to Rena in Strike Back, despite Luca not knowing the identities of his other allies along with Ladybug and Cat Noir, except for Alex, Kim, Sabrina, Max, and Kagami, they all know that he knows he's been hiding the secret of Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities. The way Luca and the others signed Bob's contract without reading it is similar to how all of Monarch's victims agreed to his deal without knowing what they were getting into. This is the 4th time Marinette kisses Luca on the cheek after Frozer, Hard Hunter, and Miraculous New York. This is a fourth non-special episode where a character sings in a musical number after Silencer, Deflagration, and Perfection. Anarcha, Jolika, and Lucas sang for the first time. At the end card of the episode, Luca is shown in pictures describing places of where he will be. Jagged and Penny are passing through. One of the pictures show a place called the Pico de Neblina, the highest peak in Brazil above sea level, located in the state of Amazonas. And this meant that Luca may be or may have passed through Brazil. And this is the fifth episode of seasons 4 and 5 not to have a polka dotted pattern on its end card, following Rocketeer, Penalty, Determination, and Reunion.
Now you know!
Although this episode was a lot of fun, it actually had a really good catchy song. A couple of them actually. And it was pretty enjoyable. So, either way, we all give this episode of Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir a 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching.
End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.